let's have a chat about the Bombers, Richo. And better, let's say the positive, better in the second half. Things were looking very bleak at half time, but at least they got their game back in order and sort of halved that contest in the second half.
Yeah, just really poor. Couldn't win the footy in the first half, didn't want to compete, got smacked, and then as soon as the ball got into the Saints players' hands, they couldn't win it back, and the Saints just waltzed it inside 50. 15 marks just after half-time. That's world record pace for marks inside 50. So that just says there's no pressure on the ball at all. 24 tackles they'd had at that point to St Kilda's 34, but the Saints had 70 more possessions. And then when they did get the ball, they just butchered it going forward, turned it over in horrible positions, and then that exposes them back the other way, and scores from turnover were a big source for the St Kilda Footy Club in that first half.
Yeah, they just look devoid. It must be hard. I mean, I know they've got an interim coach, and you expect a bit of a, as they say, a sugar hit when the caretaker coach comes in, but they just look devoid of. It mustn't be fun going to work.
The difference was that when Josh Fraser took over, the DNA of contest and winning the footy was there for Carlton.
And they were in games.
Yeah, they were in, whereas here, they're not. The contest and the want isn't even there. There's no DNA to work with. Like they've got to completely rebuild the game style and I don't know what they're trying to do because they're not winning it at the source, and then you can't really see what they're trying to do after that. So, yeah, they're a long way off at the moment. The Essendon Footy Club.
133 693. Love to hear from Essendon fans.
The disappointing thing is their most experienced part of the ground is midfield, where they just couldn't get it done. Like Merritt sitting at half back. Durham was good, but it was left up to him. I think at one point they had 10 clearances, and he'd had 6 of them. So it was Durham or nothing, really.
Yeah. I have to say, Richo, that, I've been a little bit, questionable whether or not James Hird should come back as coach. I'm now pretty convinced that they need him. I reckon this is a broken football club.
Right. So they need him for their spirit,
For their spirit. It's a broken footy club.
They might
the fans are disillusioned. They need some hope.
Even for stuff like membership.
Yeah,
next
membership,
year.
corporate. But just for the fans to give them a little bit of energy. And I'm sure if they get...
Is he going to bring a system and a style, or is that for the other coaches to work out?
Well, he's going to bring a team with him.
Yeah.
But I just think to give the Bombers... And we'll take some calls on it on 133 693. But I think more and more I watch them, and I don't know about your observation, Richard, but they just look like a bit of a broken club that needs a spark, needs an injection.
My view was you just get the best available. And if Hurd's the best available, then you get him. But is he the best available when he hasn't been at the coalface for a long time now? But I think I'm starting to see your point as well, Matty.
Yeah.
For all those other reasons, and the fans seem to want him, maybe it is the way forward.
It must be, we did say this during the call, it must be so, and you've gone through periods at Richmond where it's hard for the fans to come and watch. It must be hard, and this footy club's been down the bottom for a long time now, a long, long time, and it must be really tough for fans to come to the footy and watch that.
I think sometimes when you're having a day like you were in the first half there, you feel like you're just lost in translation all the time. You just you're in between everything. You probably overthink things, and then you're not reactive to the game, and you're sort of almost paralysed in your thinking. And it felt like that's what it was like for them in the first half.
Are they at their lowest ebb? I know take the supplement scandal out of it because that's once in a generation.
I think they
are.
The Essendon Footy Club the way they're playing, you can't see a win coming. But if they go through the season with one win, that is going to be the worst ever season from the Essendon Football Club. So I think you have to say yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they can get any more rock bottom, and the new coach is going to be working from the bottom up, that's for sure.
And that's my point, as I said earlier, before we went to the interview, we were talking about it, but, the spectre of James Hird, I just think they need something. They need some excitement. They just need something to come into that football club, not just for the players, but for the fans, for the sponsors, just to bring some excitement and some buzz to the place.
Yeah, as I said before, I didn't think that was the right thing to do. I thought you had to go out and do a thorough process and unearth whoever the next best coach is. But for the reasons you're saying, it does feel like it's starting to lean that way, doesn't it, to Herd? just for a variety of other reasons.
And it mustn't.
And if he brings his good team with him, they can work collectively as a group to get the match style and system that they want put in place.
It mustn't be a good time for the players. We'll get to the Essendon rooms in a moment. But, I mean, you've been through this as a player where you're losing week in, week out. There's a lot of negativity around, and you've been through interim coaches and things aren't going right. I mean, it's a hard place to be around. I know, you're
it's not
a privilege but to be an AFL player, but it's not enjoyable.
Yeah, which you need some satisfaction, right? You're training your guts out, you're playing. And the one thing that you get is to sing that song after the game. And the Saints players are sitting down there now having their shower and you're relaxing. And it's just what makes it all worthwhile. Well, they've only experienced that once this year. And it's been once in a 12-month period now.
Yep.
One win. There's just no enjoyment at all.
It's obviously a really disappointing loss, and you've just come out of the team meeting. What was kind of the coach's address at the end of the meeting?
Oh, it's a really disappointing and hard one to digest. Obviously, the first half looked horrendous for us. We weren't able to put pressure on the ball. They scored far too easily, and they put a big score on the board. We were able to respond moderately in the second half, but the game's well and truly done. It's a really disappointing outing. And not much more to say than that.
So, Andy, it was clear that the pressure wasn't on the footy because I think they took 15 marks inside 50 to just after half time. But can you sort of pinpoint why? Is it just an attitude or an effort thing, or was it the fact that you couldn't get your hands on it around the contested footy and clearance, and they probably got some clean breaks and they got good ball users? But is there anything you can sort of identify there why you couldn't bring that early?
Oh, it's a mix of all those things, Richard. I think there's never one thing when it looks that poorly in a half of footy, but to start with, it's our intent. I think we've started the last two games really poorly. We have to look into why that is. And it's simple things. It's like we have to work our way into the game. We have to put pressure on the opposition and make them blink, and it's something we're not able to do at the moment. They're too easily running the ball at us in all areas of the ground, and we need to have a hard look at each other and play our role when we need to. I think it's as simple as doing your job when required, and right now we aren't, and I'll be the first to put my hand up that I need to be better.
So Naz was obviously on fire. He's a hard guy to tag. You put Day Wicks to him a little bit, and everyone always asks, why don't we tag? But it then sort of actually hurts you a little bit more, probably around clearance, because you can sort of dictate then if you're St Kilda. Did it feel that way a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Naz is obviously a super player. If not the best, one of the very best in the competition, and we knew that coming in. We studied him pretty firmly and had plans, and unfortunately those plans fell through, and we had to change a few things up. But like you said, Richo, when you put so much attention into one player, other guys break out, and I think their whole midfield played really well. They gave their forwards first access, and us as backs didn't hold their end of the bargain. So it's not a great combination, but again, he's a super player, and we have a lot of respect for him, but he took the game away from us today.
Must be tough when you've got buildings like that. Andrew, how do you keep morale up as the captain?
Yeah, it's difficult. We've had a really challenging season, and like I said earlier, I have to look at myself first and own my part in this, and I quickly have to sort of put my own emotion aside and be a regulator for the group and make sure that we show up on Tuesday to review the game really strongly and prepare for next week against another challenging side in Brisbane. But no doubt it is challenging. We're going through a hard period at the moment, but we're the only ones that can get us out of it, and we have to galvanise and make something of the rest of the season.
Hey, mate, really appreciate you having a chat to us. Good stuff.
Thanks, guys.
And Matthew Lloyd's comments with regards to James Hird made on 3AW on Friday night, where he said that James Hird, in terms of preparation and putting an argument forward, well, he goes straight to the top of the list.
I was with him on Wednesday night at an event. The passion, the hunger, the thirst for this job, I've never seen anything like it. So they spoke openly about that, and the fact that he heard from Andrew Welsh. I'm not of the view that it has to be an Essendon person, and that I just want the process to play out and be the best candidate for it. He's got a full presentation ready to go, holistic presentation on everything, not just how we're going to win a game of football, but what the club needs and where it's been with development and recruiting and the works and everything and staff he'd like to bring with him. People would want to come and present well. If they're going to give him a genuine chance and they aren't just giving him a token interview and they give him a genuine chance, he's going to be tough to knock off from a presentation point of view with the thought process around what he's going to bring.
Now, that is a big rap from Matthew Lloyd, because I know, obviously, he knows James Hird well, but if Lloydie didn't think that and honestly believe that the work that James Hird has put into this, he wouldn't have gone with it on air. So the question then becomes, you know what James Hird represents, you know what he can do. If his preparation is at the top of the pops and the detail that he's included in his presentation, maybe it does all lead to James Hird.
There's one thing missing, though, with James Hird, and that's the CV of having not been a coach in the last 5 or 6 years or more. So that's the only thing. His presentation, I'm sure, will be elite, like probably all of them will be. But I'm still of the view you've got to go out and find as many good candidates as you can, whether that's 6 or 10, whatever it is. Go out, get those guys, do the interviews, and if Hirdy comes out on top, he comes out on top. But I'd be looking at this successful clubs like Geelong, like Sydney. What assistants do they have there? Like you've got James Kelly down at Geelong. He's been at Essendon, so he knows the landscape of the Bombers. So, yeah, go and interview all those guys. And if Hirdy's the one. But I still think they've got to do a thorough process and get as many good candidates interviewed as they can and then work it out from there.
Would you be surprised if James Hird gets the job?
I won't be surprised.
But not having been a coach in the AFL system
a little
for
bit.
that amount of time?
Yeah, I think I just think if someone's been at the coalface for the last 7 or 8 years at a successful club like a Geelong or a Sydney and they interview well, then I feel like that would be the right way to go about it. But, you know, it does feel like the Bombers potentially probably wanted Essendon in person.
Do you go with James Hird because there is that push, and to, I guess, alleviate that doubt that you've got, Matty, put a qualified senior assistant on good money alongside of it?
Yeah, you could. Anybody like a Hinkley.
So you have James Hird almost as the showman, the people manager, and then this highly paid senior assistant who doesn't have to face the media.
Well, I think he's got a team ready to go that's probably covering all those bases, you know.
Imagine if they went after Josh Fraser, the Bombers.
Well, Josh has already said he's going to be at Essendon
That's
next
what he
year.
says.
At Carlton next year.
That's what he says.
The only thing about Lloydie, so at this function, Hirdy's told him about all the presentation. Tell you what, how long did it last for about what was in the presentation? I'd rather him have seen it first and then come us and say, it's as good as I've ever seen, because it's only on hearsay that he's going to cover all bases. And no, that's nothing against Lloydie, but to come out and say that straight up, the passion, yeah, we know. I've seen that passion in him. And since this has started, he wants to do it again. And I tell you what, it's a bloody good starting point. And if I'm Essendon, I'm going to go Hirdy as an Essendon person to take the job more than the Solomon by a mile. It's only the pull, what he goes. He's seen as a god, and Solly was a good, ripper bloke and did what he did. But he's no James Hird in the eyes of the Carlton support.
Essendon.
Essendon. What he could bring to them, you know.
The problem Essendon has is it cannot fail. Whoever they appoint. And the reason I say it cannot fail, you appoint James Hird and they don't get that winning record up and are playing finals, it's failed. Why did you go with James Hird again? If you put in someone else, even if it's a John Longmire or Ken Hinkley or a top-ranked assistant coach, and again, it doesn't work, everyone goes, oh, well, why didn't we just go with James Hird? He had the passion and he wanted to coach this club.
You just thrown up two scenarios where you got the same answer.
This is where they have... But this is the pressure on Essendon at the moment.
Let me tell you, mate, that is crap. There's no way known you can guarantee anybody... Look, if we look
you can't guarantee, but that is the pressure on Essendon at the moment.
To get it right.
The diminished lack of success over the past 2 years.
But you don't know that. If you go with Hird and it fails, you're going to say, well, they should have gone with someone else. If you go with the other 2 or 3... that have been, had records and just finished coaching or whatever and had success, and that fails, you said, you should have gone with Hird. Oh, duh. Do
you really think the next coach of this football club is going to be able to make it super successful? Like, I think they're in a position...
There's no guarantee.
No, but I think they're in a position where the next coach is going to come in and do a lot of dirty work, but isn't necessarily going to be the one
that was meant to be
a flag or a grand final.
That was meant to be Brad Scott coming in to do the dirty work and rebuild it. This is why I think there is so much pressure after mediocrity for the better part of 2 decades. They have to get the right person.
But they also need to get the right people around
Josh
them.
Fraser, they give the job after he wins 8 games straight and something. Doesn't have to win every game, but he's won 8, and they give the job to Josh. And then the next minute, Carlton don't win, 5 or 6 games and don't play finals.
I think there's more pressure on Essendon to get it right than there is Carlton. Carlton made a preliminary final 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, all right. There's pressure on them because we know where they've come from. But again, I just say to that statement about that being that way and that being that way just doesn't make sense.
Does Zach Merritt stay if James Hurd gets the job?
I think looking at Zach Merritt, I don't feel that he'll be there next year.
I think he should go.
Either way.
If they'll let him.
He should have gone in the first place.
Well, they didn't let him.
Let's get to a few of your calls. 133 693. Hi, Robin.
Oh, hi. Definitely James Hurd.
Why?
Well, I gave up my membership 4 years ago with Brad Scott. He didn't do anything for North Melbourne, so I couldn't see why James didn't get the gig, over him. And I'll take up my membership as soon as James Hurd gets the gig. And he'll definitely get them moving, I can tell you.
I think Scotty got him two preliminary finals?
At North Melbourne.
At North Melbourne, it wasn't a bad effort.
But it wasn't just him. It was they were absolutely riddled with injuries. So they got rid of the director of high performance. There were problems with that. They were questioning whether the way the ground had been refurbed out there was correct. I don't think it's been just, Brad Scott was meant to be the guy that came in and made them win finals. They've had a whole litany of areas that have gone wrong around Brad Scott.
They've won one game in the last 27 games.
Which is not great.
So whoever comes in, there's only one way up.
Not
exactly.
a bad position, is it?
They've rock
you need
bottomed
someone
right
who
out.
really, really wants to be in this job, because not every coach is going to want to look at Essendon and go, I want to coach a team that's in that position.
You talk about performance and win and loss. But the thing about it was I have not seen a great development of players in that group who we all thought 3 years ago were very up-and-coming players.
Archie Roberts.
That's develop as yeah, but not. You're going to get some, Richo, but not enough for mine.
Yeah. Robin, thank you. Hi, Muzza.
Yeah, g'day, crew and son of the great bull. How are you guys and girls?
Good, thanks.
Good, Muzza.
What I think is that Essendon shouldn't be blindsided by the passion for James Hurd, whether he gets a job and does it good or not. It's the passion of that and Essendonian stuff blindsided them, and they make a mistake. And if they could have got someone else better, and maybe they're better than outside, can bring some fresh ideas, doesn't know the club, and can bring that sort of their own passion and ideas and their own staff and crew to maybe get them back up the ladder again. Because they're one of the great four Melbourne clubs, boys. What do you guys think?
Oh, you can't just do it on passion, but like Lloyd said, he must have he's going to have a presentation that he thinks might win him over. Well, that's well and good.
But I still think, like I said, you need someone who really wants this job, because this is not going to be an easy job. There are some coaching jobs. No coaching job's easy, but there are some.
But you're not going to go for it if you don't want it. You get what I mean? You're not going to. Everybody goes and puts.
But I think some of the people you've mentioned, Richo, for example, you'd love your Longmires. James Kelly, I reckon, would look at it.
But
there will be some people who are eligible or who get called who will go, I don't want to take on this type of task.
Oh, Daniel G in Syracuse hasn't put his hand up.
No, and I don't think Longmire has either.
Muzza, thank you. Hi, Frank.
Yeah, g'day, guys. Look, I'm a long-time Essendon supporter. I've got a lot of the actual fundraising things. I've always got feedback from all the members whenever I've went to these meetings. And it's always been unanimous. They want James Hurd back. The corporates want James Hurd back. This is the thing. If you're not an Essendon person, you're going to say what you like. But if you're an Essendon person, you want the passion back in the club. And the only person I can see that can bring that passion back to the club is James Hurd. He's red and black, bleeds red and black. He is red and black. We need that back in the club. We don't want outsiders in. As Shorey said, we get someone else in, he fails, bang, everybody.
So, Frank, if the best person for the job, and I'll use John Longmire as the example for what he achieved at Sydney, has more credits on the board than James Hurd as a coach, isn't an Essendon person per se, it doesn't matter who the best person is for the job, you just simply want James Hurd as the coach of Essendon?
Look, technically he might be a great person, mate. He might be a great person, but he's lacking one thing.
He's a great coach, though, as well.
His passion. They've got to learn to play with passion. This is where these present players aren't doing it. You can see it in their game plan.
But you don't think John Longmire could do that? Or someone else other than Hurdy could do that?
Look, he might do it in time, but are we going to be patient enough to wait 3 or 4 years? No. This is where we need to come now. Hey,
I'll tell you what brings.
If Hurdy fails, mate, I'll eat my words. But he'll at least teach the players to play with some passion. You watch I've seen a couple of games when he was coaching where they've won games, and the amount of passion that was involved in that game, I can't remember which game it was, but the players were just all over Hurdy after the game. It was a great win. I remember that one when he was coaching.
Frank.
Well, what Frank's saying, that, you know, he goes to functions and categorically 100% all the Essendon people there want James Hird. This is a problem if they appoint someone else, isn't it?
Well, I don't think that is categorical. I don't think every Essendon member wants James Hird. I think there is a...
Well, you barrack for Essendon,
I think there is a large percentage that want him. I think he has...
Is that a problem for a new coach if they don't go with James Hird?
If there's a belief that the players will only play under James Hird, you've got bigger problems than just the coaching. Yeah. I mean, if you believe the only person that can get something out of this playing group is James Hird, that's an absolute bunch of baloney. I'd be looking at turning over the whole playing list then. That is a massive
You're
problem.
Professional football.
You don't have to be, and to say that it needs to be an Essendon person, that is malarkey.
No,
because
I agree.
You look at every other club, rarely is it someone from within the club that comes and coaches and leads them to success. Look at Stephen King at Melbourne. It never had anything to do with the club previously, and look at where they are at the moment.
All of the recent premiership coaches are guys that were just the best candidates at the time.
Correct. Yep.
You know, Stephen King, obviously. But look at the premiership coach. Damien Hardwick, when he went to Richmond, just was the best candidate at the time. Back when Clarko took over. McRae, Chris Fagan.
Yep.
You know, you just got to find the best guy. It doesn't have to be an Essendon person.
I think the blinders is something that really worries a lot of other Essendon supporters. I think they've got to take the blinders off. James Hird deserves to go through the process. I hope he has a great presentation. But to just appoint him based on he's who the member wants, he's who the corporates want.
You can't do that.
That can't be done.
I don't think they'll do that though. Do you
Well,
really?
some members
No. You hope not. You hope you're better than that.
I think this is why they needed an outsider on the coaching panel.
Yep.
Because it is all Essendon people. It's basically
but Teddy
the board.
Richards was at Sydney for a long, long time.
Yeah, but he is an Essendon director, so I think they needed to have someone from outside of that bubble.
Yeah, I agree, but I think he
lenses.
can bring that from having such a long time at Sydney and a good culture up there.
Frank, appreciate the call. Hi, Joe.
Hi, panel. I hope you're all well.
You too.
Why is no one mentioning that the last 4 coaches for Essendon have been outsiders? And that's why maybe they want to go for the Essendon blood, like I heard. Because Brad Scott failed, and it doesn't matter that he turned over 39 players in 2 years. Hardly any of them have come on. So the system's broken there. Their recruiting's been broken down for years. Why would you not bring in someone that has heart and passion for the club, that was a champion footballer, that is an icon of the club, that will bring everyone together? And those that doubt, maybe we can go and find another Knights or another Rutten or someone like that might not be that good.
If he argues the point to the best of his ability and they give him the job, well done. That's where it is. We won't know. We don't know whatever's going to go on in that room. But the decision, you'd hope that for great football or good football people, and that's probably a doubt at the moment with the administration, like you said, there's a lot of things that haven't been brought together well, that they get it right on this occasion. But again, there is no rhyme or reason to say it will be right, and you cannot guarantee it.
Joe, thanks. Hi, Paul.
Hi, guys. I'm a Bulldogs member. I've got a lot of friends who are Essendon supporters, and all of them do not want a bar of Herd. He was part of the peptide saga, and its ancient history. They want a fresh face.
Okay.
Paul, thank you. Interesting observation. Hi, Peter.
G'day, guys. Respectfully, firstly, on Longmire, I mean, you can say he was extremely successful. Well, the half-empty glass says he went to the big dance so many times and he's an underachiever because he only won one. So that's the Longmire piece. On the Hurdy piece, because this situation is so unique, wouldn't a team, and it's maybe for the football heads in the room there, the pros, wouldn't you go to the leadership group and say, guys, is there any issue if this guy was the best in presentation? Is there any issue you would have playing for any one of these guys, and in particular, Mr. James Hird?
No, you don't do it, Pete. You don't let the inmates run the asylum.
Sometimes they do consult.
Yeah, well, you can consult. You can consult as much as you like and you would never do it in a group situation. You would only do it on an individual basis if you asked them that. And that should be kept in club or in-house with that committee. But you never go to the whole playing group and say that. And even the leadership group as a whole. You
do it individually if you're going to.
Players look after players. They don't. Most of them wouldn't even understand.
Well, I believe that, for example, I think Max Gorn was involved or spoken to about the Melbourne recruitment process before they went with Stephen King. Like, if you've got
talk to your senior leaders.
That's all right. You talk
so you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you do that, but not as a group, like you said. The leadership group in a total. But you might get a bit of bounce off. But you know what? I reckon players look after players. If you're not smart enough to make a decision without even going there, you can go. But I would leave it alone myself.